The research vessel Artemis glided silently over the dense canopy of Seraphim, a planet lush with life and ripe for discovery. Inside, biologist Thomas Eldridge peered through the observation glass, his eyes reflecting the verdant world below. "Commencing descent protocol," announced Captain Miles Harrow, his voice steady through the intercom. "All hands, prepare for touchdown." Thomas felt the familiar thrill of exploration pulse through him as the ship began its gentle descent. His mission was clear: to document and analyze the unique biosignals that Artemis had detected from orbit. The vessel landed softly on a bed of thick moss. Thomas, equipped with his field pack and sensors, stepped out into the alien environment. The air was warm and heavy with the scent of unknown flora. "Be careful out there, Tom," called out Dr. Lena Riggs, the ship's chief engineer, as she followed him out. "We don't know what kind of reception committee might be waiting." Thomas smiled back at her. "We came looking for unknown life, Lena. Let's hope we find some." As they ventured deeper into the forest, Thomas and Lena observed the vibrant ecosystem. Flowers with luminous petals fluttered in the gentle breeze, and distant animalistic sounds echoed. Suddenly, a soft, melodious voice halted their advance. "Who intrudes upon our sanctum?" The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Thomas and Lena exchanged a look of surprise and cautiously looked around. Then, two figures stepped gracefully from the camouflage of an overgrown fern wall. They were humanoid, each no taller than 5 feet, with skin that shimmered with an iridescent sheen. Their large, almond-shaped eyes studied Thomas and Lena with an intense curiosity. Thomas took a slow, non-threatening step forward. "My name is Thomas Eldridge, and this is Dr. Lena Riggs. We mean no harm. We're explorers, learning about your world." The one who had spoken first, who seemed slightly taller, tilted her head, her eyes narrowing in contemplation. "I am Lyra, and this is my sister, Mina. You are far from your home, Thomas Eldridge and Dr. Lena Riggs." Lena stepped beside Thomas, her voice gentle. "Yes, we traveled from Earth to study and understand, not to disrupt. We have much to learn from each other." Mina, the quieter of the two, moved closer, her gaze fixed on the equipment strapped to Thomas's belt. "What are these devices? Do they capture the essence of life?" Thomas unclipped a small scanner from his belt and held it out, open-palmed. "This is a bioscanner. It helps us understand the health of plants and animals by reading their life signals." Fascinated, Lyra extended a hand, and the scanner beeped softly as it analyzed her. The readout showed a complex, vibrant pattern of life energy. "Amazing," Lyra whispered, her voice a mix of wonder and respect. "It sees deep within, yet does not touch." Thomas nodded. "Exactly. It allows us to understand without causing harm. Would you guide us through your world? Teach us?" Lyra exchanged a look with Mina, who nodded slightly. "We will guide you, Thomas and Lena. There is much to share, much to learn." As they walked together through the alien forest, the boundaries between human and alien began to blur, replaced by a budding sense of camaraderie and a shared thirst for knowledge. Thomas felt a profound connection to these alien sisters, a promise of discoveries untold. "Your world is beautiful," Thomas said, looking around in awe. "It's unlike anything we've seen." Lyra smiled. "And yet, you bring us visions of another life, another world. This exchange, it enriches us all." As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the forest, the group made their way back to the landing site, minds abuzz with possibilities. Tonight, they would share stories under the stars of Seraphim, the first of many nights of mutual discovery. The evening settled on Seraphim with a symphony of bioluminescent glows emanating from the flora surrounding the landing site. Thomas and Lena set up an exterior module for interaction, eager to foster deeper communication with their new alien friends. Lyra and Mina arrived just as the last rays of light faded, their own bodies slightly glowing, reflecting the planet's natural luminescence. They seemed as curious about the human technology as Thomas was about their ability to interact with their environment. "Your structure here, it's unlike our dwellings but feels similar in harmony," Lyra commented as she touched the module's fabric, which lit up at her touch, reacting to her bioelectric field. Thomas grinned, pleased by her interest. It's designed to adapt to environmental conditions dynamically. Think of it as a learning system, much like we are, trying to understand and adapt to new surroundings. Captain Harrow joined them, his sturdy frame carrying a portable holographic projector. We brought something to show you, something from our world. Perhaps it can help explain where we come from and what our intentions are. With a nod from Thomas, Harrow activated the device, casting images of Earth across the module walls. Mountains, oceans, cities, and deserts flickered around them, accompanied by brief descriptions spoken by Thomas. Mina watched intently, her eyes wide. Your world has much water. And these constructions, they reach high like our elder trees. Yes, Lena added, those are cities, where many of us live together. Like a community, much like your own, but perhaps not as in tune with nature as yours. As the presentation continued, Thomas noticed the sisters whispering to each other, their expressions a mix of wonder and concern. He decided to address it directly. Is there something troubling you? Lyra turned to him, her expression earnest. We sense much movement, energy, also conflict. It is foreign to us. It is true, Captain Harrow chimed in, his voice somber. Our world isn't without its troubles. Part of why we explore is to learn from others, to find ways to better ourselves. Mina approached the captain, her demeanor gentle. And you seek this learning openly? Without demand. Exactly, Thomas interjected. We're here to exchange knowledge freely, to build understanding. The conversation shifted as the sisters began to describe their own world in return, using a device of their own that projected images less as visuals and more as shared emotional experiences. Thomas, Lena, and Harrow experienced the sisters' memories of Seraphim. Its rhythms, its emotions, its connections. It's incredible, Lena breathed out after experiencing a memory of the planet's dawn. You share memories through emotion. Yes, Mina replied. It's how we learn, connect, and maintain harmony. As the night deepened, they all shared more about their cultures, focusing on education, governance, and hopes for the future. Thomas found himself deeply moved by the emotional richness of the sisters' experiences. Perhaps tomorrow, you could show us more of Seraphim? Thomas suggested. We could learn from the land itself. Lyra nodded, a smile spreading across her face. We would like that very much. To show you our world through our eyes and feelings. They agreed to meet again in the morning, each group reflecting on the night's exchanges. As the module's lights dimmed and the crew prepared to rest, Thomas lay awake, pondering the emotional depths of Seraphim and its people, eager for the lessons the following day would bring. The next morning, Seraphim awoke with a gentle mist that hovered over the vibrant underbrush, casting an ethereal glow on the path that Thomas, Lena, and Captain Harrow walked upon. Lyra and Mina awaited them at the edge of what looked like a complex network of living bridges and platforms made from the native flora. Good morning, Thomas called out, his voice bright with anticipation. Your world never ceases to amaze. Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the soft light. Today, you will see how we live with Seraphim, not just on it. As they ventured into the heart of the alien forest, Mina explained how their structures were grown and maintained through a symbiotic relationship with the sentient plants of Seraphim. Our homes are part of the ecosystem, fully integrated and alive. Captain Harrow, examining a leafy railing that pulsed with a gentle light, was fascinated. Incredible. It's like your entire civilization is built on mutual respect and cooperation with the environment. Yes, Mina replied. It is cooperation that sustains us. They arrived at a large clearing where several Seraphimians were engaged in what appeared to be a communal agricultural practice. Unlike anything seen on Earth, they harmonized with the plants, which responded actively to their caretaker's touch. Is this your main source of sustenance? Lena asked, noting the absence of any traditional farming tools. Indeed, Lyra responded. We grow our nourishment and the plants thrive under our care. It's a partnership. Each crop is attuned to the needs of our community. Thomas, curious, reached out to touch a vibrant blue vine, which immediately shifted its hue to a calming green as he made contact. It reacts to touch. Our flora senses intent and emotion, explained Mina. It understands if the touch is caring or harmful. As the morning progressed, they shared not only methods of cultivation, but also of cultural significance. Lyra and Mina showed them art forms that were intertwined with nature, sculptures that grew and changed shape, and music that was composed by the ambient sounds of the forest itself, refined by subtle manipulations from the artists. Harrow, deeply moved by the harmony he witnessed, shared a bit of human technology in return. He pulled out a small device that recorded ambient sounds and altered them into a range of musical notes. We use technology to create art. It's different, but the end goal of expression and connection is the same. Fascinating, Lyra mused. You mold your tools to create beauty, as we mold our environment. The afternoon was spent exchanging knowledge about their respective sciences and arts. Thomas and Harrow detailed human achievements in astronomy and physics, showing diagrams and simulations on their portable devices. Lyra and Mina listened intently, occasionally sharing delighted glances when a concept resonated with their understanding of the universe. Your people look to the stars and see a tapestry of potential, Lyra said. We see the same, though our stories of the stars are told through emotion and memory. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with strokes of crimson and gold, the group gathered around a naturally luminescent table molded from the ground itself for a shared meal. The food, much like everything else on Seraphim, was a blend of various textures and flavors, each dish designed to complement the others. This, Captain Harrow said as he tasted a particularly exotic dish, is an exchange I hope continues long into the future. Our peoples have much to learn from each other. Yes, Thomas agreed, his eyes meeting Lyra's. Today was enlightening in more ways than one. As they walked back to their module under the stars of Seraphim, the humans felt a deeper connection not just to this alien world, but to each other, inspired by the unity they had witnessed. Lyra's last words that night summed up the day perfectly. In sharing, we grow stronger. The exchange had sown seeds of understanding and respect that would, with care and mutual effort, grow into a strong, interstellar relationship. Under the twinkling lights of a Seraphim evening, Thomas and the crew of the Artemis prepared for an unusual event. A cultural ceremony Lyra and Mina described as sharing the essence of being. The serene glade chosen for the occasion was bathed in the gentle bioluminescence of myriad plants, casting an otherworldly glow on all who entered. Thomas approached Lyra, who stood beside an elegantly twisted floral arrangement that pulsed softly in rhythm with the ambient sounds of the forest. Lyra, could you tell me more about what to expect tonight? Lyra's smile was as warm as the light surrounding them. Tonight, Thomas, you will experience Seraphim not as an observer, but as a participant. You will connect with us, feel what we feel, see what we see. Captain Harrow, overhearing the conversation, joined in with a mixture of curiosity and slight apprehension. Is this safe for us? Our physiologies are different, after all. Mina, joining her sister, reassured him. It is safe, Captain Harrow. The connection is emotional, spiritual, not physical. You might find it intense, but not harmful. As the ceremony began, the group formed a circle around the central floral structure, which served as a conduit for the experience. Lyra and Mina instructed everyone to hold hands, closing the circle. The air thrummed with a palpable energy, heightening Thomas and Harrow's senses. Close your eyes, Mina instructed. Let your minds open and your defenses fall. Feel the flow of Seraphim around you, within you. Thomas did as asked, feeling a slight tremor of nervousness. The hands he held, Lyra's and Lena's, were warm, the pressure reassuring. Slowly, a wave of emotions not his own washed over him. Tranquility, joy, an immense sense of belonging. Lena, beside him, gasped softly. Her voice trembled with wonder. I can feel everything. The planet, its life. It's all connected. That's it. Lyra's voice guided them gently. Let your self-awareness blend with the world around you. See through our eyes. Images and sensations flooded Thomas's consciousness. The slow dance of growth within the soil, the rush of nutrients up tree trunks, the gentle unfurling of leaves seeking light. It was overwhelming, yet profoundly beautiful. Captain Harrow, always the pragmatist, struggled initially but gradually relaxed, his usual reserve giving way to awe. This is incredible. I'm feeling things I didn't know existed. As the ceremony deepened, personal barriers dissolved further. Thomas felt a stirring of deep affection, a tender regard that Lyra held for him, mingled with her hopes for his understanding and respect for her world. In return, he projected his admiration and earnest desire to bridge the gap between their peoples. After what felt like both an eternity and a single heartbeat, Mina gently urged them to return. Slowly, let go of the connection. Retain the memory, but embrace your individuality once more. The circle gradually broke, each member blinking as if awakening from a profound dream. They stood in silence, absorbing the residual warmth of shared emotions. Thomas turned to Lyra, his voice soft with newfound respect. I can feel every inch of you. How can you be so perfectly firm and yet so profoundly connected to everything? Lyra smiled, her eyes gleaming with tears of joy. In sharing our essence, we hope to teach that strength comes from connection, from the unity of all beings. As the group walked back to their camp, their steps were lighter, their bond strengthened by the shared experience. Thomas knew he would carry this night within him forever, a night where he truly understood the depth and beauty of Seraphim and its people. After the emotional richness of the previous night's ceremony, Thomas felt a profound sense of closeness not only to Lyra and Mina but also to Seraphim itself. The crew of the Artemis, energized by the experience, gathered around the breakfast setup outside their module, discussing the night's revelations. So, what's the plan for today? Lena asked, serving out a portion of synthesized protein that somewhat resembled scrambled eggs. I thought we might explore the northern sector, Thomas suggested, sipping his coffee. Lyra mentioned a valley where the bioluminescent flora are supposedly spectacular. Captain Harrow nodded, his interest piqued. Sounds like a good idea. Maybe we'll find more of those plants that react to human emotions. It could be revolutionary back home, to have something that responds so viscerally to us. As they prepared for the day's expedition, Lyra and Mina arrived, greeting everyone with their customary warmth. The Valley of Whispers, Lyra said, the name sending a shiver of anticipation through the group. It's a place of great beauty and deeper connections. The trek to the valley took them through varied landscapes, each more breathtaking than the last. The forest gradually opened up to reveal a vast open space dominated by towering stalks and whispering leaves that seemed to communicate with one another through the gentlest of touches. It's incredible, Thomas remarked, watching the plants move. It's like they're talking through the wind. Mina laughed softly, her voice harmonizing with the rustling leaves. Not through the wind, with the wind. They are sharing messages, warnings, stories of days past. Captain Harrow, ever the skeptic, raised an eyebrow. You mean to say these plants have memories? Not memories as we understand them, Thomas interjected, recalling last night's experiences. More like emotional imprints. They reached the heart of the valley where the flora was densest, creating a natural amphitheater. Here, Lyra suggested they perform an experiment to interact more directly with the plant life. Captain, would you assist me? Thomas asked, gesturing towards a particularly vibrant cluster of flora. Harrow nodded, and together they approached the cluster, laying hands on the smooth, cool surface of the plants. Following Lyra's instruction, they closed their eyes and focused on a single, clear emotion. Thomas chose hope, while Harrow chose curiosity. Almost immediately, the cluster's colors shifted. Soft blues and greens pulsed in slow, soothing waves. Your feelings change their world, Lyra explained, her voice filled with a mix of awe and pride. You impact them just by being here, by sharing your essence. They spent several hours in the valley, experimenting with different emotions and documenting the plant's responses, which varied from vibrant color changes to subtle movements. As the sun began to set, casting a golden light over the valley, Thomas felt a serene peace settle over him. He turned to Lyra, who was watching him with an expression of deep fondness. This place, Thomas started, searching for the right words. It's more than just beautiful. It's enlightening. Lyra nodded, her hand finding his. You see now how every interaction, every touch and emotion carries weight, carries meaning. This is how we live with our world, not just in it. Their hands still joined. Thomas looked into Lyra's eyes, and for a moment, it felt as if no words were necessary. They could understand each other perfectly in the silence. Back at the camp that evening, the crew shared their findings and experiences. Captain Harrow, usually reserved with his emotions, was unusually reflective. This mission, it's changed my perspective. Not just on what's out there in the universe, but what's inside, here, he said, tapping his chest. Thomas smiled, grateful for the journey and the unexpected discoveries of self and universe. As they turned in for the night, the stars above seemed to shine a little brighter, a little closer, just like the crew of the Artemis and their new friends. As dawn broke over Seraphim, the soft hues of morning cast a tranquil glow on the Artemis crew's campsite. The atmosphere was charged with a gentle anticipation of the day ahead. Captain Harrow, Thomas, Lena, Lyra, and Mina gathered around the communal table, maps and digital screens sprawled in front of them. Today, I'd like us to go beyond the physical exploration, Lyra suggested, her voice soft yet filled with a sense of purpose. I want to share with you the rite of the sentient harmony. It's a way for us to connect not just with each other, but with the consciousness of Seraphim itself. Thomas leaned in, intrigued. You mean, the planet has a consciousness? How is that possible? Mina responded with a knowing smile. Just as your body is made up of cells, each contributing to your overall being, so too is Seraphim alive through its interconnected life forms. Captain Harrow, skeptical but open-minded, nodded. And this rite will allow us to perceive that? Yes, Lyra confirmed. If you're willing, we can experience it today. The group agreed, their curiosity piqued by the promise of such a unique encounter. They followed Lyra and Mina deep into the heart of the forest, to a location pulsing with vibrant life energy. Once they reached a particularly lush glen, Lyra instructed everyone to sit in a circle, close their eyes, and place their hands on the ground. The soil was warm and slightly humming with unseen life. Let your minds be still. Lyra's voice guided them through the process. Feel the life beneath your hands, the flow of energy from the soil to the smallest insect to the tallest tree around us. Thomas felt a tingling sensation at his fingertips, spreading slowly up his arms. It was an electric feeling, connecting him to the group and the ground beneath him. Now, open yourselves to Seraphim. Let its essence flow through you. Accept its presence, Mina added, her tone reverent. As Thomas relaxed into the experience, his awareness expanded. He began to sense the slow, deliberate pulse of the planet, its rhythms syncing with his own heartbeat. It was an overwhelming sensation of unity and profound peace. Harrow, typically reserved, gasped softly. I can feel. It's like the heartbeat of the world. It's incredible. Lena, always emotionally receptive, tears filled her eyes. It's so powerful. All this life, connected, and we're a part of it. They remained in that state for what felt like hours, though only minutes had passed. When they finally opened their eyes, the world seemed different, more vibrant, alive, and aware. How do you feel? Lyra asked, looking around the circle with a gentle concern. Thomas struggled to find words. It's like I was part of something larger than I can explain. Like I was the forest, the soil, the air, all at once. It is a gift, Mina explained, helping them to their feet. To see the world not as separate parts but as a single entity of which we are all a part. The rest of the day was spent discussing their experiences. Each member of the crew, even the skeptical Harrow, shared their feelings and insights, amazed at the depth of connection they'd achieved. This changes everything, Harrow said later as they prepared to return to camp. How we see this planet, how we report back. It's all going to be different now. Yes, Thomas agreed, feeling a profound shift within himself. We're not just visitors. We're part of Seraphim now, in a way we weren't before. As they walked back, their steps were unburdened, lighter with the knowledge and connection they had gained. They were no longer just explorers from another world. They were, even if only slightly, Seraphimians too. After their profound experience with the rite of the sentient harmony, The crew of the Artemis gathered around the holographic display in the main module, buzzing with a new perspective. They were reviewing the data and personal accounts of their experiences to compile a comprehensive report for Earth. Thomas toggled through screens filled with vibrant images and complex data charts, his mind racing with the implications of their discoveries. This could fundamentally change our approach to extraterrestrial exploration, he mused aloud. Captain Harrow, leaning over his shoulder, nodded in agreement. It's not just about observing anymore. It's about understanding and integrating. Our policies, our protocols, they all have to reflect this. Lena, who was annotating a digital journal, looked up. We need to emphasize the emotional and psychological impacts as well. It's profound. What happens when you truly connect with another world? The discussion was interrupted by Lyra and Mina, who entered the module with an ease that spoke of their now familiar presence. We've brought more data for your archives, Lyra said, handing over a crystal-like device filled with Seraphimian knowledge. Thomas accepted it with care. Thank you, Lyra. This will go a long way in helping us convey everything accurately. Mina, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. We hope that by sharing our knowledge, your people will see the value in preserving and respecting life in all its forms. That's the goal, Harrow affirmed, his tone serious. This mission could serve as a model for how humans interact with alien ecosystems. As they integrated the Seraphimian data with their own, the crew discussed how to best present their findings. Thomas proposed creating an immersive experience, similar to what they underwent, for the leaders and decision-makers on Earth. What if we could replicate the emotional connection? Thomas suggested. A simulation that lets them feel what we felt? Lena was quick to support the idea. It's one thing to read about it, another to experience it. It could be a real game-changer. Harrow, usually more reserved, was visibly excited. Let's do it. We'll need to work with Lyra and Mina to ensure the integrity of the experience is maintained. The next few hours were spent brainstorming and planning. Lyra and Mina provided insights into how their technology interacted with their biology, helping the crew tailor the simulation. As night fell on Seraphim, the group sat outside, watching the stars. Their conversation drifted from their immediate work to broader implications of their discoveries. Imagine if everyone on Earth could feel this kind of connection, Harrow said, staring into the night sky. It would change everything, Thomas agreed. Empathy on a scale we've never seen. Lyra, sitting beside them, smiled softly. Empathy is the true path to peace. Mina, more reflective, added, and understanding is the foundation of true progress. The night ended with a sense of accomplishment and a shared vision for the future. They had started as explorers and scientists, but they were leaving as ambassadors of a deeper, more connected universe. Back inside the module, Thomas made notes on his datapad, determined to capture the essence of what they had learned. This isn't just a scientific mission, he wrote. It's a journey to the heart of what it means to be truly connected, to each other, to our world, and to the worlds beyond our own. The final day on Seraphim arrived much too soon for the crew of the Artemis. Packing up their equipment and data, they were quiet, each lost in thought about the impending departure. The air was thick with a mixture of anticipation and melancholy as they loaded their gear onto the craft. Thomas stood looking out over the landscape that had become more than just a place of study, but a source of profound personal growth. Lyra approached him, her expression bittersweet. You seem troubled, Thomas. Is it the thought of leaving? She asked. It is, Thomas admitted, turning to face her. It's hard to leave a place that's changed you, a place that feels like a part of who you've become. Lyra nodded, understandingly. You will always carry a part of Seraphim with you. And remember, distances are just physical. Our connection, what we've shared, transcends that. Captain Harrow joined them, his own face marked by reluctance. I've led many missions, but none have left a mark like this one. You've given us a great gift, Lyra. Mina. Thank you doesn't quite cover it. Mina, who had been overseeing the crew's final preparations, joined the group. Perhaps this is not farewell then. Let this be an open path that someday you may choose to travel again. Thomas looked around at his team and the friends they'd made, feeling the weight of their next steps. What if I chose a different path? What if I stayed? Harrow raised his eyebrows in surprise. Stay, Thomas? Are you sure? Yes, Thomas said firmly. My work here isn't finished. There's so much more to learn, and I believe my place is here, with Lyra and Mina, continuing to bridge our worlds. Lyra's face lit up with joy, while Mina reached out to clasp his hand, her touch warm and welcoming. Then this is a new beginning, Lyra said. There's much we can achieve together. Harrow clapped Thomas on the shoulder, his eyes bright with unshed tears. Then it settled. We'll report back that you've extended your stay indefinitely, as an ambassador of sorts. Lena, who had been listening, came forward. Make us proud, Tom. Not just as scientists, but as a voice for unity. I will, Thomas promised, turning back to look at the Artemis crew. Safe travels, my friends, and remember what we learned here. As the preparations for departure wrapped up, Thomas felt a serene calm settle over him. He watched as the Artemis lifted off, its engines a dull roar that slowly faded into the distance. Lyra and Mina stood by his side, watching the ship shrink against the vast sky. Ready to start your new journey, Thomas? Mina asked, her voice gentle yet filled with excitement. More than ready, Thomas replied, his heart full of hope for the future. Let's begin. With that, the three of them turned back towards the heart of Seraphim, towards the unknown adventures and continued exchanges that awaited. As they walked away, the landscape of Seraphim seemed to embrace them, its lights and sounds a symphony of welcome. Thomas knew he had made the right decision. Here, on this alien world, he had found a new home, a place where two species could come together in the spirit of understanding and mutual respect. The work would be challenging, but he was eager to begin, knowing that each new day would bring deeper connections and continued revelations about the boundless possibilities of shared existence.